Could this change my mind about the Raspberry Pi? Stick around and we'll get right to it. Hey, welcome back guys, Jason KM4ACK. Today we're going to take a look at a little device that I now have in my hands. Now this isn't a sponsored video. Spec5 did not send me this device, and I didn't even purchase this device. It was one of my patrons who thought that I might could put this to good use, so he sent it over to me, and a big shout out to Doug for sending me this Spec5 Nomad to check out. Now, this is an interesting little device. I've seen them in the past, but never really given a whole lot of thought to them, primarily because this is a big device. Now, just for a bit of comparison, this is the Spec5 Nomad. This is a LilyGo T-Deck here, and this is the WizMesh tag that I've got in my pocket almost every single day. And I'm hoping that this wind is not making it into the microphone because it is super windy out here today. But what sets this device apart from those others is this one is powered by a Raspberry Pi. And that's what can potentially open up a lot of doors for us. And guys, I apologize also if you can hear some airplane noise in the background. I'm literally right here by the airport as I'm filming this afternoon. But when I got this device in hand, I really started to think about the potential that we have because it's powered by that Raspberry Pi. Now, let me tell you right up front, if you're thinking about trying to run something like JS8 Call or even FT8 on this, you're going to be limited because of the small screen size and the smaller resolution that we get with a device like this Nomad. However, there is some things that I think we can do with it, and I also want your input on this particular puzzle. Right now, I'm thinking that we could load something like Direwolf onto this device, connect this to a radio, and then be able to remote into that instance of Direwolf using something like our cell phone and APRSDroid. To me, that would kind of be a really neat use case for this. I've been experimenting more and more with how I can work with a network. Now, not the internet, but a network. So everything connected to the same network, but it doesn't require the internet. If we get the internet, well, that's just a bonus. But I've been experimenting more and more with what I could accomplish by networking devices together. And I did a recent video on where I was showing you how you could use APRSDroid on your phone and network it to an instance of Direwolf running somewhere else at your house. And in that particular case, you could take advantage of, say, a 50-watt radio and Direwolf and use that to your advantage with an application like Wode. But when this Nomad came in, I started thinking, how much further could we push this? Now, I've also done some testing with a Linux laptop to where I had Vara running on the Linux laptop, and I was successful in using Wode from the Android device and networking Wode to the laptop running Vara and successfully sending WinLink messages out using Vara. So could we potentially get Vara loaded onto this Raspberry Pi and then network that so we could use it anywhere on the network, maybe with Wode from our phone? Well, I'm not sure yet, but it's one possibility with this device. It's been quite some time since I've tried to load Vara onto a Raspberry Pi, and I don't know how much difficulty I'm going to run into when it comes to doing that. But another possibility would be RDOP. Can we network RDOP and use that from another device on the network? Can we load Pat WinLink onto this and network it to another device and then use either RDOP or Vara or maybe even Packet? That is probably much more doable using Pat and RDOP. I know that we could network those together and get that working over a network, but I'm not positive we can get RDOP working over a network. That's going to take a little bit of playing around, to see if I could get RDOP alone to work. That would really be ideal, but I'm not even sure that Wode supports that. But I'm just kind of looking at all of the possibilities with this Spec5 Nomad. Yeah, we've already got Meshtastic built into the device. We could probably be able to network that and use that. We've also got an SDR radio in this. I don't have the antenna connected to it yet, but that is another possibility. Could we network that and listen to SDR, say on our phone, streaming it across the network from this Nomad? All of these are kind of use cases that I'm kicking around to see what I can do. Now, one limit we're going to have with this runs on 3 18650 batteries. So battery life is not going to be the greatest when you're talking about powering this device. However, it also has a 12-volt barrel connector right here. And I have successfully used a USB-C battery bank, such as this U-Green battery bank, and a 12-volt trigger cable to power this Nomad. Guys, I'll leave links to all of this down in the description because this battery and this trigger cable really opens up a lot of possibilities. But I'm just kind of kicking some ideas around. I wanted your input on this. What else could you see we use this device for, where we could simply connect, turn it on, connect it to a radio, and then give it network access so that we could then drive that from another device on the network. Again, remember, this is not with internet, but just networking those devices together. I'm kind of curious to see how far we could push this idea of just setting that up and then utilizing it from somewhere else. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. We might follow up with this in the newsletter, so be sure you're subscribed to that as well. There will be a link down in the description below. If you found today's information helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up before you head off. We will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3. But what makes this device unique, whoop, there goes the camera trying to be blown away with the wind. Yikes, twice. Let's see if we can spin that just a little bit and give it that. Maybe that'll hold it still from the wind. All right, let's try that again.